family and friends. Thank you for joining us again for another Midweek Minute. We want to encourage you again to join our Zoom prayer meetings that take place on Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. and Sunday afternoons at 3 p.m. If you need information for those Zoom prayer meetings, please private message us and we'll get that information out to you. If you can't make those meetings, again, we still want to pray for you. So please private message us your prayer requests and also send us your praise reports, and we will be sure to encourage one another with praise reports as well. Christian Assembly Youth, ages 12 to 18, don't forget you have virtual small groups that take place on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Contact Gustavo and Victoria and they will get more information out to you. Now, small groups are taking place. For more information on the groups that have openings, contact the leader of the church. We will get you connected. And I also want to mention here, if you are not a member of Christian Assembly, but you have no church to call your home, we are here for you. Private message us on our page and we will contact you and get you connected as well. Now, a quick reminder that there are 4 different ways to give of your tithes and offerings to Christian Assembly. Number 1, there's Venmo. Find us, Christian Assembly Church. Number 2, you can find us on our app, Christian Assembly, on your phone or your tablet. Number 3, there's our website, www.christianassemblynow.org. And then the old-fashioned way of sending a check in the mail to 9 Cummings Street, Somerville, Massachusetts, 02145. Now, don't forget to reach out. I know I say this every week, but reach out to somebody new. Encourage one another. Pray for one another. Get together with one another. Maybe dine out at a restaurant. We want to encourage you to get together with one another and encourage. And remember to pray for one another. And also pray for your pastors and your leaders as we're figuring out how to open up the church the right way. We will, again, keep you informed as we are informed. Now, please grab your Bible. Sit back, open your ears and your hearts as we join Pastor John for our Midweek Minute. We love you and we miss you.
Hello, Christian Assembly Church and visiting viewers. So good to be back here again. Now, for this Midweek Minute, we're going to be focusing on wisdom. Did you know that wisdom is protection? I'll explain how in a minute or two. Now, you might have heard the phrase, fear the Lord, which is something good, even though it sounds unnerving. Fear God? So then how does fearing the Lord coincide with protection by wisdom? Well, let's not jump ahead. With the things that are happening all around us, we could agree that we can use a little bit more wisdom to combat much of the difficulties, struggles, and the challenges that await us. Lately, my prayer has literally been, Lord, please give me more wisdom today. I need your insight and your perspective. Let's look at a verse that is the underlying theme for everything that is found in Proverbs. And it's found in Proverbs 1:7. And it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Now, we're going to be looking at a particular story found in Exodus chapter 18, verses 1 to 27. We're not going to read everything. You can read it later. But it talks about Moses and his father-in-law named Jethro. What an awesome name. If I had an opportunity to change my name, Jethro would definitely be that name. Now, in this story, Jethro shows great wisdom 2 times. There is a difference between being smart and having wisdom. Being smart is about intelligence. That's nice to have, but it's not necessary for wisdom. Wisdom is all about knowing how to live. It's about making great choices based on what you know to be true. Now, the first example of Jethro was when he hears about the fantastic rescue of the Hebrew slaves from the horrible treatment of Pharaoh. And his wise response is to give God all the credit. He doesn't look at other explanations and doesn't assume that it's because Moses is smart. Instead, Jethro worships God. In fact, it seems that at this point, Jethro is fully turns to God and rejects all other gods. Let's discuss a little bit about wisdom. I had mentioned earlier that wisdom is protection. It's like sunscreen protection when we would apply to going outside activities. It's the security guard of our interaction through life. What do I mean? There's an amount of protection when you are wise and put God's way of life into action. Let's look at Proverbs 4:6. Proverbs 4:6 says this, "Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will keep you." Now, when we're looking at where we are, consider wisdom. Living life according to God's plan protects you. If you stop and think about it, it kind of makes sense. When we align ourselves with God's plan, we would realize that God's plan is in fact the best plan for our life. And sometimes it doesn't seem that it makes sense in the midst of our situation, where or how it's going to ultimately work out. But the willingness and the capability to live out wisdom can protect you from the alternatives that are not what is best for us. Now, obviously, just because we make wise choices, you're not protected from bad things happening to you. But sometimes others make choices that affect you, and you have to live with those consequences. But when you live a wise life, you protect yourself from the negative consequences of your bad choices. Wisdom can really help at the right time. For instance, how often do you not think before you act? I found myself sometimes doing that. You just react in situations without thinking. Or maybe you get to work and you show up late, and when you're there, you really do not put your best foot forward, using company's time unwisely. You argue with your spouse about something, and once you begin to realize you were wrong, instead of stopping the argument, you go on and maybe bring up something else. And then what happens is that has nothing to do with that argument, and it goes on, and it starts to go into places that it shouldn't have, just because you could not admit you were wrong. And the list goes on and on. The truth is, we would make a lot more wise decisions if we have paused before acting and take a second to think about the possible outcomes of that decision. Doing this one thing, you would save a lot of grief. Seriously. Now, Jethro, the second example that we will find, is that when he shows great wisdom when he gives some extremely wise advice to Moses. After seeing Moses trying to be the only one helping people to make good choices and resolving their differences, Jethro can tell that Moses is going to be worn out. There's too many people and the job is too big. And so Jethro recommends that Moses appoints some other leaders to share the work. Lays out a good solution for Moses. You should really read about it. Now, the practicality of wisdom is to use failure as your teacher. The truth is, you're not going to always do things right. You're going to make some dumb decisions and have negative consequences. We are human. We all mess up. Welcome to the club. But when you do mess up, use it as a learning experience. Don't just go through that pain of the bad decision. Learn from it. In fact, I think back of some of the dumbest decisions I have made. If I was to take a second to think about it now, I can see the consequences of that decision and not repeat it. The big question is, what did you learn from those decisions yourself? When you learn from your mistakes, over time, you become wiser. Some of the wisest people I know have made the most unwisely decisions of their past. But they didn't keep making it over and over and over again. They learned from each one. Let us do the same thing in our life. In this Bible that we have, there are numerous of people who had done things the wrong way and made some mistakes. And now we have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes or their not so proud moments of their lives. Now let's look at Proverbs 9:10, which says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." So you may ask, why fear the Lord? Why not just fear the circumstances or fear other people that you are thinking of? Here's why. God is the creator of all things, the sustainer of everything. And in Him, all things have life and breathe. He is outside of time, and He alone knows absolutely everything. And there is never been a moment in time when God did not have to learn something new, because He knows everything about everything. He knows each and every detail, absolutely everything to the deepest degree, and to the complete awareness behind it. He knows you and I better than we know ourselves, because He has made us and formed us in our mother's womb. He knows how many days we have on this earth, and He even knows the stars by name. So it's mind-boggling to me that this great God of the Bible desires to know us intimately. The world bombards us with a buffet of ungodliness worldview, incites us to find ways of changing our own lives. And yet, the wisdom process of God of the Bible says, "Fear me, and you will know wisdom. Fear me, and I will show you the way to live life." In a time that is chaotic and tumultuous, fear me, and I will guide you through the details of your life. Fear me, and I will show you the way to which you can honor me and glorify me in this day and age. Fear me, and I will give you the strength and the wisdom to proclaim my gospel to your friends and to your family. Fear me in wisdom I possess to you, and I will give you so that you will grow in the trust of me instead of yourself, and in turn lead you to life everlasting. When God says, "Fear me," He's really telling us to let go of our own sense of knowledge and control. Now, let's go back to Jethro. Jethro's wisdom was a great example to us. He shows us that wisdom is giving God credit, and wisdom is making decisions that are good for other people. We can't make ourselves wiser, unfortunately. Sure, we're capable of making good decisions and bad decisions, but God is the one that gives wisdom. So if you want to live the best life, a wise life, ask God to give you wisdom. Make it a regular prayer. This would be a great prayer for you to pray every morning. God, give me wisdom today so that I can give you credit and make great choices to help other people. Now, I'd like to end with quoting James chapter 1, verse 5, which says, "If any of you lack wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you." Thank you for joining us tonight. I pray that the God of hope will be your portion and your strength for today and tomorrow. And remember to be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Great to see you again. We're praying for you and we love you. God bless you all.